Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Shane Pitcher of Saline, boys cross country and boys track and field. How's it going, bud?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Let's kind of just talk about how was cross country season for you?
This past season went pretty well. We started off relatively strong, and then we kept going. We didn't have any huge hurdles for a while. We won the conference championship. We won the regional championship pretty handily. All seven guys won all region, that's a first in our team's history.
That's pretty cool.
Unfortunately, the state meet didn't go quite as we hoped, but up until that point, it was a really, really good year.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so let me ask you this: you go to the state meet at Michigan International Speedway. For many people that don't know, it's a lot of the Irish Hills, obviously being up there several times for obviously covering cross country as well as going to covering a lot of NASCAR stuff up there. There's it's a lot of wooded areas and all that. What is that state course like? Because I hear people absolutely love it and people absolutely hate it.
So this was actually my first time racing on it. I was the first alternate my junior years. I didn't 100% know what to expect, and I went in with an open mind. I actually kind of liked the course. Um, the one thing I didn't like, there's a lot of quiet, which I like the quiet aspects when you're back, and there's occasionally a coach or two, but there's not all the spectators. I didn't like you to get to come around a bend and there's a ton of people. That was a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it was very, very physical of a race from the gun. I know there's 200 plus kids in the race, but it was very physical. Being a smaller guy, I did not benefit from that much. So the course itself, it's not my favorite course per se, but it was a B plus A minus course. I enjoyed it for the most part.
Okay, so full trans because it's like because okay, so I was there when the whole remember the whole COVID year and all that. So I was there,
Yes.
and there was like they didn't allow any parents in there, so there wasn't really a lot of people, and there were still a lot of people there, but it was just the runners in there. But usually that area is full of parents, just walking around horse and all that. It's I mean I've seen that place packed and all that. Is it like just what's it like running in a bunch of different people?
Um, it can be a little overwhelming at times. Um, I'm used to we go to a decent amount of bigger meets, so I'm not unfamiliar with running with a ton of people like at my sides. And I typically have a teammate or two I'm with, but having a ton of runners in a big glob can be a little overwhelming at times. You don't want to trip, you don't want to fall. And then the extra like people cheering, I think that adds a little bit of pressure to an extent. Um, I don't know. I I enjoy a certain amount of cheering, but the state meet, there's just so many people.
Yeah,
It's a very unique experience, unlike any other meet. And I've done Portage 3 times, and it's way different than even that.
place is insane too. Um,
Yeah,
so like, what's like your favorite course to run at?
that is a good question. There's two that stick out in my mind as courses I've raced well at every time I've gone there. One of them is Portage. I've done well every time I've gone to Portage, so I really like that course. And then Hudson Mills. There's two courses there.
Yeah.
I like both of them, but the South course is my favorite of the two. I've raced really well there both times that I've done it. So either one.
Okay,
Um,
full transparency. Hudson Mills is in the Pinckney area, which is where I believe that is also where a couple of the big meets are, and also I believe that's where the SEC championships were this year, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah,
um,
correct.
so let's talk about like basically what's like a typical day for you, like school wise, like what's like your favorite class that you take?
My favorite class. So being a senior right now, I don't have a ton of super hard classes. Calc BC is my hard class, that's for sure.
No.
But my favorite class has got to be connecting with Miss Fair. So it's the full class is called Connecting with an Exceptional Individual, and we work one-on-one or in small groups with special needs students or resource room students that need extra help. So I've done that now this school year. I've been involved in the club for 3 years, and it's definitely my favorite class. I love the students I work with. It's a lot of fun. I'm in a freshman English resource room right now, and it's a ton of fun. That's probably my favorite class for sure.
Yeah, it feels like going back to that. It's just like but you're being part of something, that's kind of really bigger than yourself. What's that like, and just to impact those kids, because it's like, who knows the many challenges that they go through every day.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to think of it from that perspective too, because I just go into class and I don't know. There's 8 boys and we goof around, we have fun. Sometimes my job is I need to make sure they focus a little bit more sometimes. But I don't know. I think in a way, with working with all freshman boys as a senior athlete, I'm kind of a role model to some of them. Two of them run track too, so that's I'm going to be their captain this year.
It's awesome.
So that's really cool. But then we have a lot of fun. Like every week, assuming they like behave throughout the week, we play sports trivia on like Sporkle or something like that. And that's just a lot of fun. I love doing that.
Yeah,
So
I've done that a couple times. It's okay. So are you like a sports nut through all that? What do you know?
yeah,
Really?
I'm the guy that knows all the like the random trivia, history, sports. That's me. So I love stuff like that.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so obviously, for the reason why Shane is on here is because, of course, Shane is also a winner of the MHSA Scholar Athlete. Of course, if you watch this channel, we've had a lot of them on from the C, B, and now the Class A class. The class was announced this week. So, what was it like being a part of that, and writing the essay and being a part and being selected? Did you think that you would be one of the winners of that?
To be totally honest, I did not. I remember getting the email from the athletic director that was saying like we can have a few athletes from the school apply. And I figured I might as well apply. So I got the information from her, applied last minute. I thought I wrote a good essay, but when I was announced a semifinalist, I got pretty excited, and that was publicized and stuff. And then my coach told me every Saline cross country runner that's ever been a semifinalist has ended up winning the award. And there's like 3 other guys that have been named semifinalists and gotten the award. So I was like, well, the odds I think are in my favor. And then I ended up getting it. So that was really cool. But I, to be honest, did not expect myself to get it with the big pool of athletes that there was going to be. So it was a very pleasant surprise.
Well, let's talk about track season. So, for people that don't know, what events do you run?
I am a pure distance runner. I run mile, 2 mile, and occasionally an 800 if I only run the mile that day, but mostly mile, 2 mile.
What most are you looking forward to this track season?
Sorry, what's
What
that?
most are you looking forward to this track season?
I'm most looking forward to. I'm a captain this year, which comes with a good amount of responsibility, but I'm looking forward to being that guy on the team. I think that'll be. I like being a leader on the team, and I don't know. I'm very like much looking forward to that, but then I'm also looking forward to keeping our streak going. Saline is famous because we have not lost a dual meet since 2011, and we have 11 straight conference and regional titles. So I'm looking forward to our senior class keeping that going for another year. That's a big deal in Saline. So I'd like to keep that going.
That's actually, what I did hear about that. It's like, oh my goodness, that's huge. So you talk about being a captain, with all the responsibilities that is. What does that mean to you to be kind of selected by, I don't know how the captains are selected on the team. Usually it's through like your peers or through the coaches. But what does that mean to you to be one of, if not the guy or one of the guys, or to lead the team?
It's a big deal for me. The way we do it in Saline is there's like a voting process at the end of every year, and the kids pick a captain, and most of the captains are picked at that point in time. And so I was one of those kids that was picked right away. And so that meant a lot to me because that means that my teammates acknowledge that I'm a good leader. They think I'm a good leader and I'm qualified for it. And typically it's, a faster kid. Typically it's a kid that's more outgoing. And to be in that list is really cool, especially with a lot of people I know that I looked up to were captains on the track team or cross country team before. So now that I'm going to be in that same breath for other kids, that's really cool. It's kind of come full circle now. So that's really cool to think about.
Okay, so let's talk about what are your interests like outside of school. What do you like to do? Like outside of sports, outside of school.
Um, let's see. A big thing I'm a part of is Boy Scouts. That's an activity I spend a lot of time with. I really like hiking and backpacking. That's something the past few summers I've gone backpacking or canoeing out in Minnesota. So spending time outdoors like that is a thing for me. I'm also a lifeguard in the summer. That's the past 2 summers, my every day has been wake up, go to practice, go to work for 7, 8 hours as the lifeguard, come back and do it again. And I do that with some of my best friends. So that's always a lot of fun. Some of my teammates and I spend a whole like weeks at a time with each other doing that. So I love doing that. And I just love hanging out with friends, having fun. So yeah.
Nothing like it. Um, okay, so what's next for you? Like, where are you going to go to college and what do you want to study?
So next year I'm committed to run cross country and track at Hope College in Holland. And then I am studying social studies, secondary education with a minor in exercise science.
So so obviously you could take that degree in many other places, but what do you want to, so where would your end all job be?
I would like to be a history or like government teacher and coaching cross country somewhere, preferably probably a bigger school, maybe not necessarily my alma mater, but some bigger school. I'd like to be teaching history, coaching cross country. That'd be where I'd like to be.
What made you want to be a teacher?
Um, it's a good question. So I've always loved history. That's been something like, well, I've always not been the best, let's say, English student, and math's not always been there for me. History is something I've always enjoyed. It's always been my favorite class. And so, like, what can I do with that? And the more I thought about it, I thought, I like mentoring people. I like helping people. I think teaching is a good way I can do that. And then coaching naturally with being a teacher and being an athlete, or that seems like that fit really well. So, and ultimately, I've had a lot of really good history teachers. So that helped lead me down that path. So, yeah.
Um, and then finally, what's the biggest thing that you're gonna miss at Saline, competing in at cross country and track at Saline?
That is a loaded question. Let's see. I've loved, there's a lot of things. I've loved the coaching staff for one. Coach Spina has done an amazing job. Coach Leslie and Coach Brown in track, they do a great job. Not only coaching the athletes, but also building the culture at Saline. One thing, unfortunately, a lot of schools don't have is a great culture. Some schools, um, they're really fast, and being fast is cool, but they don't have that culture like we have at Saline. I think there's truly something special because there's not a lot of schools in the state that can be as good as we are, have as much fun as we have, and have that camaraderie that we have on both the guys and girls teams. There's probably 5 or 6 high schools in the state that check those boxes. And I think that's a really cool thing that's relatively unique to Saline that over Spina's 20 years here and Leslie's 20 years here, that they've really helped grow and cultivate that culture. So I love the team. It's cross country has been like my favorite activity I've done the past 4 years. So I'm gonna really miss that. But I have friends that are juniors, guys like Blake Mahler and Truman Johnson, that I'm sure will have the team in good hands, and guys after that too. So
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shane, for coming on, and we'll definitely be talking with you later on in the year.
sounds good. Thank you.